boat casting started from your area, the Thames Estuary. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, it didn't. Boat casting as we know it today certainly was developed at Brabble really by Bob Cox and John Rawls. But the Dutch were boat casting a long while before they started, although with a very different method and do it in an entirely different fashion. It's been a very, very good method for us. It's produced a lot of fish, especially in shallow water. And to get the bait away from the boat, avoid the scare area. It's been a very good method for us.
And it also presents the bait well, of course, yeah.
That's right. On some days, I think it's the presentation matters as much as getting the bait away from the boat.
Well, I know boat casting is different tackle than normal gear, and the rods are a bit longer. Can you give us a brief rundown of what it's involved with?
Let's have a look at the rig I'm using today. Well, the basic idea of boat casting is you're presenting a bait away from the boat. In shallow water areas, the scare area from the boat is quite large and it tends to push fish away. Now, if you can find the distance that the fish have actually stopped moving away from the boat, you get an added concentration of fish. It also allows us to fish with much lighter tackle and much more sporting tackle than we would normally do in quite a strong tide. Now, because we need to cast away from the boat, we're looking at a rod that's much longer than normal conventional boat rods. Now this is one of the new Daiwa Carbo Whiskers. It's made for the job. It's probably one of the best of its type on the market. If we look at the action of the rod, we'll see down the bottom end there's very, very little movement. This allows us to catch up nicely with a fish and sink the hook home into the fish. A little bit in the middle, which helps us with the casting, and then right to the tip section of the rod there's a lot of movement. Now, as well as making it nice to play a fish, this also means that when we've cast out, anchored our line out in the water using our grip lead, cast out, anchor the line in the water, allow a big bow of line to come out back to the rod tip, and then when the boat moves, the rod absorbs the movement of the boat so we don't pull the lead out to the bottom. Now, going down to the reel, we need a reel that holds quite a lot of line. We also need a reel with a good clutch, and we need a reel with a fairly good rate of retrieve, because we cast the lead out, let the bow of line out down the tide, sit the rod back down, and the first thing we will get is a pull on the tip of the rod, which will then probably slacken up as a fish has picked up the bait, moved down tide, pulled the lead out of the bottom. So we then need to catch up with the fish as quickly as possible before it throws the hook. Now these are Abu 7000Cs. I've used this model ever since they come out for boat casting. I haven't seen anything better, and as far as I'm concerned, they're the one. One modification I've done with these, when the reels come, they have a level line bar in the top there. I'm not a great lover of level lines, so I have them cut out and a new stronger bar put in. Now, my main line will be about £18 today, because Jan says we've got a chance of getting a tope, so I'm going to set my stall out for a tope. They're a favourite fish of mine. £18 line is adequate, providing you've got lots of it, and this reel has probably got 300 yards on it, no problem at all. I think it's about time now to get a bait into the water and see if we can get a fish. You ready, Alan?
Yeah, but how safe is this boat casting? You know, it's different from casting on the shore.
It certainly is. It's a bit more confined, but it's very similar to the pendulum casting on the shore. It can be dangerous, but if it's done properly, it's as safe as anything.
Well, we've got plenty of room, so you go first, and I'll keep out the way.
Thing to remember is keep all your tackle outside the boat. If it was a crowded boat, we could hang the bait up on the lead, and that'd give us a bit more space. Being there's only two of us, we've got all the room in the world. Just out and carefully across the side, up the tide, boom. No
I reckon
problem.
I can handle that.
Handle that. Keep the bait and everything outside.
Yeah,
for a fair breeze. Right. Once it's hit the bottom, Alan, if you watch,
let a bit of line out.
Breeze, let a bit of line out. And when this tide picks it up, it'll take it down a nice bow. So it's just working its way now.
What depth we got here, about?
imagine about 40 feet, something
40
like
feet.
that. You need to let quite a lot of line out because there's an awful lot of tide.
Yeah, right, here I go. That you looked on the grab weight come off just right.
Perfect. Yep. Let me come underneath you.
Right, now for a boat tope.
Be nice straight away, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. There's a fair bit of tide there picking up the line.
Yep. You want a fair bit out because if these things pick it up fairly fast, that bow in the line gives you a little bit of leeway to get into the rod as well.
Right, there we are. Do you leave it on the ratchet, the rod?
You can leave it on the ratchet.
I mean, on the shore we don't, because you get the rod, the screaming great run and pick it up and forget the ratchets on.
It really depends whereabouts you're fishing. If you're fishing further down the tide, where you've got less of a bow of line, then it's nice to leave it on the ratchet and give it a chance. As we're casting across the tide to start with, you'll find that the big bow of line will pull it off on the ratchet, so I'm going to leave it on ratchet, but keep a steady eye on it because sometimes these things will pick it up and they'll be away.
Yeah, I suppose it depends too on the type of ratchet you got on the reel. I don't know.
Yep.
Shimano's not tight enough, so what we'll have to do is use it. What about using it on the drag? Do you ever
You can
do that?
fish it on the drag, yep. Got to be careful you don't over tighten it when you catch up with them because sort of
I'm
line
going
we
to move
use.
away from this rod. Bit special this rod, isn't it? This one?
It is, yeah. That's actually you're very honoured to be using that one. That's a Clive Allen Zenith. As you probably know, Clive was drowned in a boating incident earlier on this year, which only goes to prove no matter how careful you are, things can go wrong. And Clive made me that rod sort of shortly before he died, so that only comes out high days and holidays. So be a bit careful of that one.
Let's see if we can catch him a tope.
Yep, go for it. One for Clive. Right, I'm going to put 2 rods out. Been a bit greedy. When I put a bait on it.
What bait are you going to put on that then? Mackerel on that one?
Yeah, can do. Put this bit of a flapper
sort
on.
of flapper.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good idea. You got the tail left in it.
Yep, just gives you a little bit of something to.
I'll hold it on.
The hook's well clear of the bait, as you see. Get a pick up, you can strike straight away. Let's put that one out in the same direction.
What happens if you hit 2 tope at once, Mick?
We get some excitement.
That didn't go so far, so.
No. What that one will do, that will come inside these rods.
And underneath them.
So I'll pass it
Yeah.
under.
That's the way to avoid tangles on a
Yep.
pier as well.
That's it. It's
It's all to do with how far out you are.
yep, absolute standard tactics.
Now up tiding like this, the presentation of the bait, it's got to be hard on the bottom with this trace.
Without
With
doubt.
the line of a big bow in it.
Yep.
Clamped to the bottom. And the tope like that.
You hear people talking about catching tope on floats and tope coming well up in the water, and they do come up in the water after mackerel sometimes, but 99% of the time they're hard on the bottom. If you look at them, and hopefully we'll catch one and we'll be able to see later on, the mouth is very much underslung. They're a fish that feed hard on the bottom most of the time. Right, we're in business. I just stopped for a sandwich and fairly typically the fish picked it up and screamed away as I tried to have a bite to eat. It ran down tide and it's now running up tide. It's not a monstrous fish, but it's a fair creature. I would say by the feel of it, we're looking at 30, 35 pounds of fish. It's going to be a few minutes yet before we find out. It's running up tide towards the anchor rope, which I don't like. Now it's come back down a little bit.
Well done, Mick. You're in at last. The other rod's out the way, so you've got plenty of room now.
Lovely. Can you take the other rod completely out for us, please,
Yeah,
Alan?
I've got it out the way completely.
God dear! It's coming down tide at a real rate of knots. You've got to try and keep up with these things.
Catch one of these yourself?
I would, yeah.
Yeah.
That's going well, Mick.
Yeah. There's a lot of weed round the line, so I'm...
One before. I'm going to see if it'll work.
Yeah, I've not seen one of these used myself.
No.
Interested.
Yeah. Personally, we always try and sail the fish by hand, but on this boat we're too high above the water,
Yeah.
so we thought we'd try something different, but I think it needs some sort of catch here just to hold
God,
it
it's coming towards me
before you
again.
put it onto the fish.
That's right,
Possibly
yeah.
a little piece of nylon or something.
Yeah, it
that
certainly
will
goes
just
down,
flip off.
narrow enough,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Yeah. Right, yeah, and you're the boy for this.
Fish up just to see if it works.
There we are.
God, it's come screaming down tide then. Caught up with it again.
It's not a pouting Mick, is it?
No, it's not a monster,
It's going well, going well.
but it's a fair fish.
You've got him against the tide now. He's coming up.
Yeah, you've got a problem at this stage. You can tighten up to clamp down on the fish to give it a little bit more. And if they scream away again, you get smashed very, very, very easily. Now I've got a lump of 50-pound leader on here. Once I get the leader, then we're in charge.
Put a pair of gloves on, because as you know, Tope got a rough skin, just like any of the other members of the shark family.
It's now just hanging in the tide. They tend to stick their noses down into the tide, flare their pectorals out, and you've got a hell of a job to bring them up against the tide. Can you move that bag of herbs for us, please, Anne? Are all the other rods out, Alan?
Yeah, you're all clear. This one's
Can
set.
you shift your one, please? He's coming round your side of the boat, mate. Normally we wouldn't worry about taking all the rods out, Alan, but as it's the first one, we'll get this one in the boat before we take any chances.
Get the fish up to the surface, if we could bring it along one side of the boat and make it much easier for us to get it in.
Take it on this side if you can, yeah. You sure that tailor's all right? Yeah, that's a weird looking tailor, mate.
We'll give it a try, mate.
Now if we look, see, my lead has come up above the leader knob. That's quite dangerous. Just unclip the lead off it, please, yeah? Don't drop the lid down because that sometimes frightens the fish. Just unclip the lid. Right, thanks, Jan.
Yeah, that can cause problems.
Yeah, if the
That's
lead
the trouble
falls
with
down
lead
on
knots.
top of the fish, it sometimes worries them and they'll go screaming away again.
I think looking at the way he's coming, we may have to try and bring him onto the other side of the boat.
We can do, mate. We probably. Yes, you might be right.
Certainly clearer on that side.
Yeah, we're clear of this side. I've got the leader now, so providing the hook's in well. Oh, he's a fair creature. Not
Oh, he's a nice one.
He's an average.
A lovely
yeah,
tope,
not
Mick.
even going to make 30, is he? Let's bring him up. Yeah, he's well hooked at the bottom jaw. He's going nowhere yet. Not.
We'd like to move up both.
Whoops, hang on.
Way! Brilliant. A smoothie boy.
Well, it's all action now.
Careful, Mick.
I don't want to let this leader go. I've got the lump of 50-pound leader. I've got a horrible feeling
damn
about
it,
that tailor
gone.
of yours, Jan. Could be right. I'm feeling.
I think I just got bitten off by a tope, Mick.
I'm feeling. I wouldn't be patenting that tailor if that was me.
It just needs a little bit of work.
A little bit of work on it, yeah. Hang on. Yeah.
Get hold of the leader. I think we can.
Hang on. He's gone down again. Putting a lot of pressure on it now, but the hook holds fairly good. And in actual fact, it came off now. We've had our fun out of him.
Yeah.
You can have a hell of a job with that, mate.
Look down the other side.
Well, there she is. He is rather on the top. Right. Right. Where are we going to hold it here? Yeah. I don't think that you're going to get it to tighten up around his tail. Can you not lean over and get hold of the fin?
You can have a try. Depends how good the hook hold is.
No, I mean if someone takes your legs. Hang on, I'll pull him on the rod, Jan. I tell you what we do. Let's do it like we do it at home. Alan, can you come and hold the rod? Right. If you hold the rod, Jan, if you hang onto my feet, lower me down, I'll get a hand on a fin and then you can pull me down. You can lower me down as far as you like, but you've got to hang on to my feet, okay? Yeah? Right down the bottom of me. Right, lower me down more. I've got to come down more, Jan.
What are you going to do if Jaws comes along?
Right. Yep. I need another 2 or 3 inches, Jan. Okay. Right. Right, now I have the fish.
Okay.
Now, can somebody pull me back in?
Someone can just hold the back of Mick and pull him in.
Hold it, bold.
Not the most professional way to land them, Jan.
As you know yourself, I normally, with these kind of fish, using fine wire hooks,
Yeah.
and generally just pull the hook out of the fish and let them swim away unharmed.
Right. Well done, Mick. Nice one.
That's a way out before we put him back.
Yeah, I suppose we ought to. Let's just show the people the actual teeth of these creatures. And you see what I was saying about the mouth being very much underslung when I was talking to Alan earlier. The fact that these are bottom feeders. People that tell you they're up on top of the water all the time. If you want to catch them, in the bottom. But it's not a monster. I've got a weigh sling in the cabin. I'll go and get that.
Yeah, I'll go and get it for
If
you.
you wouldn't mind, please, Alan. And there's a set of scales in there as well.
Yeah, I got
Alan.
the sling.
Fine job.
Get some water in it.
Yeah, can you go splash of water, please? At one time, we used to weigh these by hanging them up by their tails on a bit of rope, and we thought we were sort of being very good and conservation conscious. Having
sure.
spoken to a number of experts on sharks, I found out that's perhaps not the best way of doing it. They've got no bones, they're all cartilage, and their stomach muscles can be stressed if you hang them up by their tail. So we've had these made. Kevin Nash, the carp specialist, has made them for us. They're a bit like his carp slings, but they're an awful lot bigger because the fish we put in them are normally bigger. What are we looking at? Close on 30, I'd say. Come on, little mate.
Fish is good pump fish. I think you'll find you make 30 quite easily.
Yep, what have we
Yep.
got? Let's show the camera. Oh, yeah. Oh, look at that. Well,
I haven't got the weight of it.
better than we thought. 36, 37. Probably less the weight of the sling. So we're talking about 35-pound fish, I'd say. Nice little fish for a start. Should we get this one back in the water and see if we can get another one? See if we can get one for you,
Mick.
Alan.
Well done.
If you take that silly bit of crab off, put a
No,
nice lump of eel
I
on.
just lost a smooth arm while you were landing that.
God,
Come
crack.
pulled out.
Oh, let's put it back. Right, that's great. One down to the eel. Let's put another lump of eel on and see if we can get another one still.
Three, yes.
Good one, Alan. Oh,
Yes.
well done. Was that on crab?
On a bit of crab.
Oh, playing for boys' fish, was it, hound?
Yeah.
Smooth out, Alan.
Yeah, it's a smoothie. I don't think it's a very big one. Not as big as the one I lost. It comes straight up off the bottom. It came in double quick time. Yeah, it's only about £4. Maybe 5.
Right, anyway.
Yeah, lovely fish, lovely. They're beautiful fish. Here he comes. Lovely job. Well done, yeah. Well, I'm not a blanker.
Nice little smell.
That's that peeler crab again. Just took nicely. I was a bit quick on it actually. After I dropped the other one, I was a bit quick on that one too. Lovely fish.
As you can see, unlike the tope we've looked at, these have no teeth.
Toothless.
Just got a little crushing flat plate, much like any other kind of skate. So you don't need to use any kind of wire trace for it.
And that's a starry, is it?
It's very difficult to tell, to be quite honest.
It's got the star marks.
It's got a few
across-
faint stars, but you get them with much more pronounced stars than that.
Oh, well.
You usually find if you hold them by the nose, they go fairly quiet.
Oh, I'll put him back.
Well done.
Or put her back, we should say. Got to grow a bit bigger, and I'm going to get a bigger one now. I think I'll put a bigger bit of crab on this time.
There she goes.
Right, well, if a few lads have finished, I'll cast out again. my lead's hit the water and I'm still letting line run off. In a moment the lead will hit the bottom, but still don't stop. The lead's hit the bottom. Now, let the line carrying off and the tide will pull it down tight, give you a nice bow in the line. And that helps hold the grip lead in the bottom. I'm letting out a bit more line than I would normally because there's quite a lot of tide, and with these tope I want a little bit of time to catch up. I don't want them hitting straight away and feeling the weight of the rod immediately.
Right, that's baited up. I've got two lovely big crabs on there. I've taken the lungs out of them like we do for eels. I don't know if it'll make any difference for the smooth hounds, but we'll try that. It's a lovely bait. I'll cast that out.
Probably wouldn't make a lot of difference for these if you left the shells on the lot, Alan. But
No,
it looks nicer like that, doesn't it?
Yes. Bigger smooth hound this time. Right up tide. I've got the hang of this now. It's just like fishing on the pier, really.
Yeah.
As long as you don't tangle the lines up by casting over the top of somebody and then drifting underneath them. Plenty of line out. I want one of those smooth hound bites that picks it up and runs the ratchet off. That's what I want. On the shore, they certainly rip line off.
Oh, they're lovely fish. They're probably the gamest of the fish we've got. You know, people reckon bass fight harder than anything. Personally, I don't believe that at all.
No, they've got to rate as one of the best. Pound for pound.
Unless we can get 6 or 7 pound mackerel, they might take some beating. Come on, fishies, let's have another one.
I reckon them smooth hounds are feeding down there now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, without doubt.
They're running through. They're running through.
It's starting to slacken. It's a good time for the hounds now. For a little bit longer, I'm going to stick out and see if I can get another tope. I like them. They're proper creatures.
You've got me tempted now to go back on a bit of eel. Yeah. Now I've caught my little smooth hound. It's only a tiddler. I'd like to get a tope.
I think we've got to run.
Oh.
Go on!
That was quick.
That was lovely, wasn't it? They like that old eel. See if we can catch up with him. He's come back to walk to me.
It's the trouble with having so much line out.
He's come back to walk to me too far.
He's running towards you. And yes.
Way up.
Smooth these rods for you.
Thanks, Alan. Yep, we're in business again. How's that old tailor of yours, Jan? Are we confident with it? I like that old eel.
Oh, he's coming this side.
He's a very dour one, this one.
All right.
Have you got another one, Mick?
I got another one.
Well, we're going to try a modification on this.
Yeah?
We've never tried one before. We'll try and make it work this time.
Probably better than hanging me over the
Better than
side.
hanging you over the side head first, isn't it? Despite my better instincts.
That's no problem. We do that at home because we haven't got these high DTI rails on most of ours.
Right.
And it's a nice, safe way of landing
Obviously,
them.
I would prefer to fish a boat without the railings, but safety requirements require you have a meter to keep the anglers in the boat.
It's a dour fish, this one. It's doing nothing. Just doing absolutely nothing.
Same one
He
again.
might be in this line on this other rod, Mick.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah,
Oh, look, he's woke up.
I'll hold one out of the way.
Do you think we'll make it work?
Well, I don't know, mate. As I say, you know, we're only putting them back anyway, so if it comes off, it's not the end of the world, is it?
Yeah, as I said before, very often a lot of the experienced tope fishermen don't bother with weighing them now.
Here comes the leader knot, jammed up with weed.
Saying earlier, with lifting the fish out of the water, some people feel that you can damage them.
Can you do me the honours on that bit of weed on the end there? big owl fish, this one. But all good, it's going to scream away in a minute. You watch, it's going to go in a minute. It's just... No.
She goes.
It ain't very big, is it? Oh dear. Oh dear. I think we'd probably just lift that in on the trace and the 50, yeah. I wouldn't bother with that, yeah, just lift it in, mate. If it comes off, it comes off. It's not the end of the world. Thanks, Shan. Another one to the lump of eel.
Just nice to get hooked on, that's good, mate.
Yeah. It's amazing because at one time we used the eels because we never got a small fish on the eel. If we got a tope on eel, it was always a £30 plus fish. That one, what does that one go about? 12?
Yeah, it's supposed to be 12 or 15 pounds before this one.
That's the smallest tope I've caught this year. Never mind.
What's a female?
A female horse.
So there you go.
Come back when you weigh about 75 or 80 pounds, love. Can you sling her back for us, please, Jan?
Okay, then.
Cheers.
Good one, Mick?
No. I don't know. Yeah, it started.
Certainly a good run.
Lovely run, eh? You know what that was? No, it's a rock bit of mackerel on the end.
Horrible mackerel there. No good, eh?
Yeah.
Well, what a shame.
What a shame, eh?
The other one back.
Yeah. Could be just one fish coming along. Yeah, can't fish. He's going under the boat nasty. Can we move them? Oh, yes, please. Cool, he's going right under the boat. I wonder. Is it? What worries me is whereabouts the anchor line is. Yeah. Yeah. Taking the line fairly. Another one that's shaking his head though. I also I let it run quite a long time though. Don't shake your head though. I hate when they shake their heads like that. I hate when they shake their heads like that. Fish know when they're going forward, don't they? It is. Yeah, it was coming back towards me very, very quickly to start with. No, it picked the lead up. Yeah, that's what I thought it was a small lump fish. It's fairly close now. Oh. You're not going to risk your new tailor?
Try and have a tide stack, it won't work.
Not convinced, mate.
It's going to need another month's development work. We'll have to wait until next year before it
There
gets
it is.
serious trade.
There it is, anyway. That's a nice fish, only just hooked. No. They are very finicky today, aren't they? Very, very finicky.
We've got one on a piece of mackerel.
Yeah, we got one of the little mackerel. I'm not convinced about this tailor, mate, at all. Yep. Don't just hook, you don't pull her out of the at all. I think it's the same as before, mate. The fish is going nowhere. Someone...
All right. All right, Mick.
Yep, just pull me up.
one way to do it.
Well, that's
I feel like I thought.
not the most professional way to bring them in, but it's a fair male again.
Nice one.
Don't let him thrash about, don't let him hurt himself. Yeah, lightly that fish is hooked.
If you put a little towel over the head of these fish, they'll lie very quietly on the deck whilst you unhook them.
Very, very lightly hooked still.
You want to weigh this one again?
I suppose we ought to.
My Betsy beats the other one.
Do you reckon? No, I
Yep.
think he's a bit smaller, Alan. Nice little fish again, no?
Yeah, nice one. Nice one.
Hang in there, little mate. Right, what have we got, lads?
2 pounds, that one.
You're holding up, Alan. Yeah, close on. Yeah, close
I'll
on.
give you 40, Roy.
Less a bit for the
A
scale.
bit less for the bag, yeah.
Yeah.
38, I can imagine, something of that order.
Another
Nice
nice male fish, not a monster again, but nice fighting fish.
He's come to again.
Yeah.
Best get him back in the water while he's still nice and lively.
There we are, Crew Mackerel. Every fishing trip, it seems, starts with getting the bait. It's most important, isn't it? But this time of year, especially in South Devon where we are today, there's plenty of mackerel around, but sometimes it takes a bit of time. We've had a couple of other spots where we haven't had a fish, but now, what nice mackerel they are. They make nice fillets. Get nice size off of those shortly. But we've also got some sand eel to use as well, so between the two we should catch a few fish today. So never be afraid to spend a bit of time getting bait, even if it takes half an hour or even an hour. It's time well spent. Now when you prepare your bait, you need to be neat and fussy, because I think that fish are fussy as well. Now, you wouldn't like to have a meal that was not prepared properly. So take your fillet off using a shark knife, nice and cleanly. Clean off the gunge. If you get a mackerel that's thick, take off some of the flesh. You don't want it too thick when it's in the water. Providing it's not too thick, then it flaps nicely. Now there's lots of ways you can cut mackerel. You can cut it like that, so you get like pieces like that. You can cut it that way. You can cut it long ways, or you can just square it up and use long ones like we were using today. In which case, if you want to do that, take away the belly, and you could square up a piece off the side, keeping it nice and square. I usually take that off. Some do and some don't. And I have seen some anglers take pieces off the corner, but I'm quite happy myself to use it like that. Important thing at the beginning of the day, of course, is preparation, as I've said, about getting mackerel, and that's getting the rubby-dubby ready. Not a lot of people use rubby-dubby, but if more did, I feel sure that they would have more success. It's always a dirty, filthy job. Adrian's used to this. He gets his hands in it and mixes it all up. It's all good stuff. All you need to do is get what we're doing today. We've got some mackerel. We've got some of the coarse fishing scents that we pour in on top. Mixed up mackerel. Put it all into an onion bag. You can get plenty of those from the greengrocers. And then when we're settled down and anchored, we should just drop that over the side, and then we're ready. And what happens is that this runs a nice scent all the way down the line, all the way down along the seabed, and attracts the fish. Right, we've got the anchor down, so the next important job is to get that rubby-dubby bag over the side. You note how many lead weights we've got hung on there. That's to counteract the tide, because we want that to hang right down on the bottom. And the idea, of course, is that when it's down on the bottom, it will lay there, and all that lovely smell and juices, it'll all go down on the tide, 100, 200, 300 yards. And anything that's in its way, hopefully, will come back up and find our baits. It does unfortunately attract quite a lot of small fish when you do that, but you have to put up with that, especially the small dogfish that tear the baits to pieces. If you keep checking the bait, it's no problem, provided you've got plenty of bait, of course. Right, well there we are. Preparations are all made, rubby-dubby's over, got some bait, the line's in the water. Well, we're fishing for Ray today, and we're in Start Bay, and as you can see behind me is Start Point. That lighthouse is quite famous, and we're on the western end of the Skerries Banks. Now that's out from Dartmouth, and we left there this morning, came down the river out here. The banks are about 5 miles long. The Bellboy is down that way, east of where we are now, almost 5 miles away. We're right off the end of the bank, and we're on a pit on the end where there's a bit of rough ground. This is where the Ray seem to lie. First fish of the day, the inevitable dogfish. Well, the method we're using today is down tide fishing. That's dropping the baits and the weights over the stern or over the side and just working them back astern of the boat. The other method which we could use will be up tiding. That's casting up to the bow of the boat and letting the boat line bow around, but the depth of water is really too great for that where we're fishing today. So we're concentrating on down tiding, and the rods that I've chosen to use, I've got one that's 8 foot because I quite like using that. It's quite a powerful rod. It gives me the opportunity of keeping away from other people. My other rod is a 20-pound rod, and that's a 6'6". I much prefer to use the longer rod really, but this is quite powerful. It's a carbon rod and it's a 20-pound tip. So hopefully if I get one of the bigger Ray later in the day, it'll cope with that adequately. Multipliers, you don't need to be too big, not for the Ray that we're catching in this particular area. I've got a 7,000 and a 6,600. Both are adequate. One's loaded with 30-pound line and the other's loaded with 20. Well, it might seem a bit odd that I've got 35-pound line on one reel and 20-pound on the other, but that's in case we go on to the Ray pit in which there's some really big blonde Ray. Then I will only use the one reel and rod with a heavier line on it. That's great, Pat. Well done, mate. What do you reckon that one is, Pat? 10?
10, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice 10 pound.
I would have thought so. Gives us the opportunity now, of course, to have a quick look at the blonde ray. As we said, it's not a great big one, but it's around about £10. Well, there's a good opportunity to have a look at the blonde ray, because identification for some people is a problem. But there shouldn't be a problem. You can see they got fairly uniform spots all over. You've got more or less only two sizes, the bigger one and the smaller one there, and you've got these little white blotches which are fairly uniform all over the ray. The spines come up the tail, but they stop about at the top there, just about there. But the easy way to tell, it's the only ray that has the spots which go right out to the wing edges, which you can see there. On all other rays, they tend to stop with about an inch border, at least, all round. Because the rays live on the bottom, they have difficulty in breathing when they're laying flat, of course. So they have these spiracles on top of the head, which are behind the eyes, which they suck in air and water, or water rather, through there. And you can see how they close, open and close. And we can just see how big that is, what happens. That comes out. It's almost telescopic really when it's laying on the bottom and feeding. That opens out and it sucks the food right inside. And they don't have teeth as such, perhaps like the sharks. Although they are teeth, they're very close together, more like grinders. And you mustn't put your hand or finger in there because they really do some damage and it's not easy to get out. Well, there's one other thing you might like to know about the skates and the rays, and that's they're classified as a round fish and not a flat fish. And that's because they're flattened downwards from top to bottom, unlike the flounders and the plaice, which are flattened sideways. And the huge disc, or the wing of the skate, is its pectoral fins. And they, over the years, that's how that's evolved. And that's the way that they sort of fly through the water. That's their propellant. And the dorsal fin is right on the tip of the tail. Now that's quite unusual, but those two little fins on this particular species is a dorsal fin. So, Pat, we're going to put him back.
Yeah.
Do you normally put all your fish back?
Put a lot back. If we can't eat them, or we're not going to eat them, put them back.
It makes a lot of sense really, doesn't it? Because fish are scarce now.
Well, yeah, somebody can have perhaps 10 anglers to catch that one over the next few years. So it's one more for them.
Doesn't seem to affect them either, does it? They
No.
swim away quite happily.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
Right,
right.
let's put
Okay,
him
we
back.
can step him back.
Yeah.
Conservation is very important. But when you're ray fishing, I don't think it's important to hold your rod. In fact, I think it's more important to lean it against the gunnel, because a skate or a ray doesn't pick up your bait and run like another fish. Therefore, you don't need to strike. In fact, quite often when the ray settles on your bait, the wing of the fish can touch your line and that can give you a false bite. You strike and you've lost the fish, or maybe just foul hooked it. So leave it there. When you've seen the bite, then pick your rod up, hold it and wait till you know the fish is there and strike. But you have to be very careful when you do this, otherwise you're going to lose your rod and perhaps £150 worth of equipment. So when you lean it against the gunnel, make sure you've got enough weight inside to hold it down, and more important, make sure that the drag is loose and the ratchet is on, so that if a skate or a ray picks it up and runs off, only the line leaves the reel. Your rod stays in the boat. Oh, that's nice. Spotted? That's beauty, that, isn't it? Beautiful. Well done. That's
a pretty one.
As you can now see the difference. This is not a blonde ray, although it's a spotted one. This is a spotted ray. It's one of the smaller of the ray family. You can see on this one how the spots vary. Spots are more of a uniform size. There's none of the little spots. There are the blodges, but not all like they were on the other one in uniform size. And the spots do not go out to the edges. You've got this 1/2 inch border all the way around. And on the spotted ray, you've got some little hooks and there, and there's a few on the edges just here. It's a bit much more rough there than it is on the blonde ray. Right, as I said, it's a small fish, but we've just weighed it. And would you believe it's over £5? In fact, on the spring balance, which is bouncing about, it's between 5 1/4 and 5 1/2. And the specimen fish in this area is £5.5. So this one's going to be kept and taken home and weighed properly. So hopefully that will become a specimen and an NFSA medal for Keith. And of course it will make a nice meal tomorrow. Some nice wings on that one. You haven't got another one there, Keith, have you? Hey? Well done. Well done. Good job we brought you today. Oh, that's looking good, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's holding down the tide, isn't he? Yeah. No, it's a dog. You got us fooled there, didn't you?
I did,
And you?
Well,
Oh.
what was it you
Hey,
said?
hey, you don't know the difference now?
Not the difference, I put some in it.
Never mind. I must admit, he was pulling down well. They're bait robbers, aren't they? Really are. If you want to work your bait back away from the boat, especially when the tide is as strong as it is today, it's quite easy. All you need to do is just lift the rod, just release your spool and let it bump down again. Take it up, let it swing back up in the tide, let the tide pick it up, release the spool and it bumps down again a few yards back. Take up the strain and you keep doing that until you're back as far as you feel that you ought to be, or till you've got a natural angle and the weight you've got on will hold bottom without swinging up in the tide. If you have it too close to the boat, it's like an anchor really. If you don't have enough warp out, you won't hold. And this is the same principle when you're fishing. The bait will swim up off the bottom if you don't have it far enough back. It's nice to see this year that there's more basking shark coming around. What we're looking at now is a small one. You can see the fin and the tail not too far apart. That was probably only about 12 to 15 feet. Not much more than a baby. But how nice to see them. But don't forget the Marine Conservation Society would like us all to report every one we see. So if you see one, get in touch and tell them where you saw it and the day you saw it. Coming up through the water and then I can't. Oh, he's gone. He's gone. Yeah. Look at that. Shark again. Tope again, I should think. What do you reckon that?
Yeah.
Or is that skate?
More like
It looks like a big skate, doesn't it?
Pulled.
Oh,
catch 'em yesterday, right?
we'll have him yet. I don't think this is a big skate we've been looking for, but certainly more beef to this one. He's coming up too easy, really. There's a bit of pull there. Not quite sure. It's not even like a running tope, so I'm not really quite sure what's happening to this. Straight up and down. The trouble is, oh, I think it's a big bullass. I think I can feel a tail or something back in the line. It's a tope. It's a tope. Oh, I wonder if that's the one that's been after us all day, pinching our bait. I get, yeah. Well done, thank you. Tag the fish. You can just note there, just goes straight in the dorsal fin, and it misses. That's right, lovely. This one is Fisheries Board Ireland, and it says on there that you actually get a reward. You just notice that the tail is different on the tope. It's the only one that I know of for the shark family. It's got a complete notch out there. It's unmistakable. This is, of course, a male tope. I'm not quite sure what the weight of this is. My best one many years ago was 49 pound a male, but this one wouldn't go that. I suspect this one, what, 30-ish?
Yeah, around
20, 25 to 30, this one, yeah. It's 59 inches, yeah, correct. See, the thing is, when we put tope back these days, we don't want to hang them up and weigh them. They could, pardon? 20. It's much better just to measure them, and then we can slip them back over the side again. Well, these days of conservation and trying to preserve the species, especially tope, we don't want to damage the tope more than we have to, so they're only measured. We don't hang them up and weigh them or anything. There's no point, really. We know what it is, we've caught it, so we'll just split the hook out and we just drop him back overboard again. Right, come on then, my beauty, away we go. Let's just put you down in there. Oh, I'll just hold him by the tail first till he gets his strength up. Right, I think we're all right. Yeah, and away he goes. Yeah, he's all right. Yeah, there he goes, look at that. Oh, lovely, you can just see him going, oh, it's nice. It's lovely, isn't it, when they swim away like that. I think part of the joy of fishing, I think, is to let them go again. And don't really want to kill them. What good is it, really? You can't eat them. Well, some people do, but not really. They're much nicer back into their own element. And of course, tope are quite scarce. I mean, when I was younger, it just shows how old I am, we could go out and catch up to 6 a night off the shore. And as I said, my biggest male tope was 49 pound, and that was off the shore. But I'm afraid those days are gone. And that's one of the reasons why we need to put the tope back. And I think it's all credit to the Irish fisheries that they're actually doing this scheme where they tag the fish and put them back. It'd be jolly interesting to see where that one ends up. I know when they had some tagging in England many years ago, there was some tope that actually swam, if I remember correctly, up to 4,000 miles. Some have gone down into the Med, and 1 or 2 odd ones have actually crossed the Atlantic. I think that's quite incredible. They're a wide-ranging species of fish. There's one thing that when I'm fishing and holding my line that I always do, I tend to hold the line down with my finger and let the line go across the ball of my thumb. And that way it seems to pull on your thumb and you can feel every movement. Oh yes. That's better. I should think this is probably, oh, I don't know, it's tope I should think, that one. Oh yes, another tope I think, this one. Yeah, he's coming up. But that's very unusual, the tope I've caught, certainly in England. I suppose it's because it's been in shallower water, but they've always run. These stay terribly deep, and you're playing right literally under the hull of the boat all the time. Oh. He's right under the boat now. I've got to watch the prop. He's doing everything but doing what I expect him to do. Oh, he's coming up, Michael. Oh. Yeah, it's a tope. Oh, right enough. He got the other line. If you want to get in front of me, Tom. Oh, great. Well done, Tom. Thank you. He's trusted himself up. Got the other line. Right, come here. Come. Right. Yeah, got this one. Got him. Another male. You want to measure him as well? Then we can get that hook out, can we, or not? Easy. Do the tag in first. Right. No, he's more than... Oh, 59 and a half there, Tom. About half an inch bigger than the other one, I think. Yeah. Yeah, great. Lovely. Right, we get the hook out and we put him back. Right, we can go back into the deep again. Just lower him down gently. Head first, hold his tail, make sure he's all right. I think he's going to be all right. Right, away. Oh yes, there's some strength there. Away you go then. Oh, he's gone. Right round there. Oh, he's swimming round the side here. There he goes. Oh. Yeah, he's staying. Oh, gone a long way off there before he's gone down. Very unusual. Right. Excitement, excitement, excitement. Great. That's what I think fishing's all about.